Yobachi 2007 back at you with another one. And we're going to get you up to date with the latest foolishness going on with Supermom, Super Mayor, Tiffany Henyard. We're going to see what's happening in Dolton and Thornton, including what happened in last night's meetings. More foolishness. She's putting on a solo meeting because the trustees canceled the meeting, but Tiffany Henyard, of course, is going to Tiffany Henyard and do whatever she wants to do. But let's get things started. We're going to take a look back about the fact that the acting chief of police was fired, yet he still kept trying to come to work. Let's get back in on that whole topic and find out the latest that's going on with him, and we'll move on from there and get into what happened last night.
This comes after the board voted last night to place the village's top cop on administrative leave, only for him to defiantly return to work today.
In the last Dolton Village Board meeting, several people were laid off, about 8 employees. And just to remind you guys that there were some personal matters structured employee layoffs due to the village financial condition and the notice of administrative leave. So about 8 employees were laid off due to the fact that Dolton is running out of money. They may not have any money right now. And one of the main people that needed to take administrative leave was Dolton's top cop, Dolton Deputy Chief Lacey. And Mayor Henyard was not happy about that.
This is political retaliation.
So that piece of video comes from Hannibal is Hungry. So we saw acting police chief Lacy dancing his jig, and of course Tiffany Henyard didn't like it because that's her top her attack dog, her ace boon coon, who was stealing money from the city by giving himself overtime. Even though he's an executive, he's not eligible for any overtime. He's on salary, and he was giving himself, I think, more overtime than his actual salary, which I was wondering why wasn't somebody stepping in and doing something about that. The state attorney general should be filing charges just on that. They haven't filed charges on that, but he is getting charged with something else. But before we even get to the charges, after he was fired, he kept trying to come to work. And here's what Tiffany Henyard and Chief Lacey tried to do to intimidate the actual police department into following their illegal attempt to have him still run the police department when he's no longer a police officer. So let's check this out.
And that's not all that's happening in Dolton today.
Are you in charge? Who's in charge?
And a power struggle is also playing out.
It's a police standoff, but it's unlike any you've seen. It's unclear exactly who is running the police department and the rest of the village as Mayor Tiffany Henyard struggles to show that she's still in control.
She insists Lacy is still the village's top cop. Dolton police officers and commanders received an email summoning them to a mandatory meeting with Mayor Henyard and Chief Lacey. Soon after, Freeman fired off a reply that read, Lewis Lacey is no longer employed by the village of Dolton. We'd like to talk to you about whether you're still running things here in Dolton. Lacey arrived for the hastily called meeting, but sat in his souped-up Dodge Durango. I think we're in a standoff. As the minutes ticked by, Lacy drove around looking for a way into the station. So somebody closed the garage on the acting chief, and now he's pulling away. Then it was time to play hide and seek with Mayor Henyard as she circled the station looking to avoid our cameras and questions. For more than a half an hour now, we've been playing this cat and mouse game with the acting police chief and now Mayor Henyard. Lacy later returned, but still wasn't talking. Are you in charge? Who's in charge? WGN Investigates obtained video of Henyard telling police commanders this afternoon she and Lacy are still running things.
Keith Freeman do not work here, he's fired. So stop playing these silly games, Board of Trustees, and putting people's lives in jeopardy.
Do what you want. But anything after this is insubordination.
You can't enforce insubordination for people who don't work for you. You're fired, numbskull. This woman is really trying to run a tyrannical regime in a small village town, and it's really just insane. But what's not insane is you hitting that like button. Like subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Go ahead and like me up, and we're going to get right back to the program. So they kept trying to push to have Lacy still be in charge, but the city administrator, Tiffany Henyard's former other ace boon coon, who was arrested on charges of what was it, uh, bankruptcy fraud, and is now cooperating with police and with the trustees instead of Tiffany Henyard. You know, he's the one they showed earlier sending the letter. Keith Freeman sending out the letter saying that Lacy no longer works for the department, and the HR is not going to pay him. The HR department is not going to pay him to be a police officer anymore. He's not in charge. So that didn't get him out. I think just on that basis, the state police should have come in and arrested him for impersonating a police officer. That didn't happen, but what did happen was he got arrested anyway. Let's see what for.
The acting police chief for the village of Dolton pleaded not guilty today on federal bankruptcy fraud charges. Lewis Lacey is accused of hiding assets and income to avoid paying creditors and settling a lawsuit. In court today, the judge ordered Lacy to give up his Dolton Police Department issued firearm and 2 other guns he has in his house.
So the state attorney general or state police didn't step in to do anything about the fact that this guy was perpetrating a police officer, trying to usurp police authority that he didn't have. But somebody in state finally stepped in. We got a judge who stepped in and stripped him of his ability to be to operate as a police officer once these criminal charges were filed for what? Another bankruptcy fraud, just like Keith Freeman. All of Tiffany Henyard's ace boon coon, who she has running behind her, are all involved with financial fraud. What do you think that's going to tell us about Tiffany Henyard, who's bankrupted Dolton and is on the way to trying to do the same in Dolton Township, where she's also the supervisor, which is crazy that she holds both of these positions. So that's where we are now, and also understand that uh, that Lacy has been removed from a state list of eligible people who are eligible to serve as police officers. You have to be certified by your state to be a police officer. You can't just show up and be hired to be a police officer. You have to go through state requirements to even be eligible to be a police officer before you can get hired into a police agency. So he's apparently not even on that list anymore. So again, I don't know why the state attorney general and state police hadn't stepped in to arrest them for perpetrating a police officer all this time. Actually, it's a federal judge who stepped in and not an Illinois state judge or state official. Let's hear a little bit more about that. We'll move on to the next issue.
The acting police chief of Dolton has been charged with bankruptcy fraud. Lewis Lacey is accused of filing misleading statements in his 2019 bankruptcy case. He's actually the second top aide to Henyard to face federal bankruptcy fraud charges in recent months.
So the other one being what I was telling you about Keith Freeman having the other bankruptcy, and this federal judge finally stepped in to do something about Lacy and get him up out of that police department and walking around with a badge and police weapons perpetrating an officer when he no longer is. So now let's get to what happened last night, I believe September 3rd, at the Dolton Village board meeting, trustee meeting.
More drama in Dolton. Tensions rising tonight with Mayor Tiffany Henyard defying village trustees and moving forward with a meeting they had postponed.
Casey Cronus is live in Dolton with the latest tonight. Casey.
Much of tonight's meeting featured a monologue by Mayor Henyard, who says there is a smear campaign against.
But here's the real funny thing. This same thing just happened a week earlier in her other role as supervisor of Dolton Township. Let's take a look at that real quickly.
Since of the township's 5 sitting trustees, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's attempt at a special meeting was more of a soliloquy.
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments. There won't be anything. It'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on in Dolton Township.
When can we address you?
Henyard called Wednesday's special meeting, she said, in response to a series of ordinances the village's board passed last week to manage event spending. In video of the August 20th meeting provided to ABC7 by the Lansing Journal, trustee Chris Gonzalez said,
"Or the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily cut stuff out."
With that ordinance passed, Henyard claims township services abruptly ground to a halt.
They was not able to get certain services, whether it was gift cards for a big bingo. Monday, the staff was not able to even buy ice cream for the seniors.
Last week's meeting also addressed the issue of township credit cards. Trustees moved to put a
So here she is again, trying to just do whatever she wants in the township. And they said, nope, it's not going to be your way. We're going to tell you how it's done. She tried to hold a special meeting, and you can't hold a meeting without a quorum. And the trustee said, we ain't coming. There was nobody there. So there was no actual meeting, just her giving a soliloquy, as the news reporter said. But that didn't stop Tiffany Henyard. She just went on. So a week later, same type of thing happened in Dolton. It was the Labor Day holiday Monday. They said they wouldn't come in. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday here this week. And they didn't show up, but she showed out anyway.
Henyard's personal lawyer also gave an impassioned speech advocating for her. But only 2 trustees showed up tonight, and one of them left halfway through. At Dolton's Village Hall, the doors opened and the lights were turned on, despite a regular board meeting being canceled.
As you can see, the Board of Trustees decided not to show up.
On Labor Day, village trustees announced they were postponing the meeting, moving it to Thursday, September 12th.
Mayor and us 6 trustees, we need to get it together.
With no quorum, Henyard announced nothing would be voted on. Still, department heads spoke, and with about 20 residents in attendance, Henyard, who has dubbed herself Super Mayor, took the floor.
Wake up, pay attention, do your research on everybody. Can't be just, I want to research the mayor. Research everybody. Then you'll understand the fight. You'll understand why things.
Research why your troll rig is fighting with your stripper eyelashes. Research that. Research how to stop troll rig and spider lashes from getting into a fight while you're talking.
Is the way it is, because when we took over, we came and cleaned up the village of Dawson. And what I mean by that is, when they got a complaint, I told them, please make sure you.
She cleaned it up into bankruptcy. Just absolute lunacy that she be talking.
Henyard even appointed a new village attorney and a village administrator, despite one already holding the role.
She can't appoint one because Keith Freeman is still the village administrator. All of that was illegal. Once she didn't have a quorum, what she should have did, adjourn the meeting.
Henyard's personal lawyer, Bo Brinley, who was seated beside her, says the trustees didn't provide the necessary 10-day notice to reschedule the meeting. As Henyard
she's operating this thing so tyrannically. She thinks her personal lawyer has say-so over city business. He has nothing to say about it whatsoever and has no authority. But here we can see in all of these actions the absolute and complete lack of accountability from the supermom, super mayor, Tiffany Henyard. She doesn't think that she can be told anything by anybody. She don't need no man, and she don't need no trustees. She gonna do what she want. It's her world. She can do what she want. She tries to illegally appoint staff she has no authority to appoint, and of course the Human Resources Department and Payroll Department simply are not going to pay these people. The city administrator, Keith Freeman, who, when she put up a motion for the trustees to vote to fire him, they voted her down. He's still the trustee, but she's going to try to come in and say he's fired anyway, and I'm going to hire somebody new. She's been trying to throw this grown woman temper tantrum for these last many months or many weeks where something is voted by the trustees that's official, and she says, no, that's not the way it is. Keith Freeman is still fired just because I say so, and just throws a temper tantrum. This is the result of a society that has told women that they could do whatever they want, that they are empowered now, that they have been freed from this so-called oppression that they were under. Therefore, the other extreme is now available to them. They can just do whatever they want. Their vaingloriousness is fed as they are told that they are all queens, they are all tens. No one should be able to tell them to do anything. No one should be able to check them. They are just free to run rampant in society in any manner that they choose, and everybody else should just bow before them. And not to do so is holding them down, it's holding them back, it's oppressing them. Nobody's going to tell them nothing, not even their own man in a relationship, because that's oppression. And doing anything in your own household to serve your man or serve your family is slavery. This is the mind state that is fed and cultivated, and this is the disease that is feminism. And when you let feminism and you allow vainglorious women to run things, you see the rot that it shows, that it brings to society. We can already know this because we have women-led society called the hood, the worst, most disastrous place on earth, and we see how things are working out. Help me to work some things out here at the channel by hitting the subscribe, notification bell, and liking us up. Like me up, and I'm out. You're about your 2007. Peace.